Okay, I decided to make a video about this amplifier because I'm skeptical about it. I've got a Nissan Navara, which currently has a 5-speaker system, but my Kenwood is giving me problems. Sometimes it switches off late or switches on late, and that started to irritate me. So I was looking for a solution to replace both my Rockford, which is a P3001, and the Kenwood. I'll give the specs on the screen here somewhere. That's also a Class D, which is giving me problems, into 1 amp. And this was the suggested solution. On paper, this amp is awesome. On the 5th channel, which is the sub output, it provides in 1 ohm 500 watts RMS. And the other channels, I'm looking for about 70 or 80 watts RMS into 4 ohms. But now the whole reason for this video is of my skepticism. My other amps takes up 4 times more the space than this one do. This one is barely the size of my hand. And but one can think perhaps the technology evolved in the past 15 years, which I agree with. However, the speaker connections concerned me. So I did contact the supplier of these amps, which is, I think, Henk Hoffman. It's Henk Hoffman. And he set my fears aside. He said it will be fine. But the reason for my skepticism is this thin wire. I measured this to be 0.8 millimeters in diameter. Theoretically, this wire can handle 7, maybe 9 amps. So this plug has got 2 subwoofer outputs. So hence it is 4 wires, these white ones. Which means the total power of 500 watts is divided into these 4 wires. I'm going to test this. Okay. The way I'm going to do that is by measuring the volt drop over one of these. I know my subwoofer's coil is 2 ohms, and I will be able to measure the voltage over here. So I can use the formula whereby power is the root of the square of voltage times the resistance. I'm going to do that and calculate the wattage accordingly. I will show you guys the amps that I've got and the setup, but this seems sketchy to me. Perhaps I'm over paranoid, I don't know. The packaging looks looking good. I've got a manual and it shows the specifics on the back here, and there it says clearly 75 watts times 4 plus 190 watts into 4 ohm. But I'm going to drive a 1 ohm setup, which gives me 510 watts. I hope it zooms there. There we go. So I'll be hoping that that is true.
Five minutes later.
Whoop, there she is. So all the wires are spliced up. I've got a little problem there, but I'll fix it up. Otherwise, everything worked out perfectly. I've got the Android head unit, iToto. I've downloaded the tone generator to test this amp. So I'm still skeptical about this, but hopefully I'm getting a very pleasant surprise. I haven't installed the bus boost remote, not necessary right now, but I'm going to try to test the output voltage on these pins or maybe, I don't know, I'll see what I can do. Le voila! There's the install done. Everything went well. That's a power cables, that is the speakers. The only real complaint that I have, RCA is there, is obviously the 4 channels and the subwoofer. The remote is at the back there, you don't see it, but it's there. I'm not using it right now. The only funny thing obviously is the remote on. I don't like this. I would like it to be on this side, because now you need to reroute the wire that side. But perhaps this amp can be upgraded to have remote sensing, then it's eliminated. So, and that is accurate. I've been stuffing around now a little bit with this amp. Hence the battery is a bit flat. But that is lekker, and it's very small. Look at that. That's an old male hand. Well, I think I'm old. That is 20 centimeters, maybe 11 centimeters. Very small, And it fits in the back of my Navara. Lekker man, lekker. Okay, so this is a Toto head unit. I've got this app here, it's a tone generator. I've set it to 50 Hertz. It's very low now, the voltage. I'm going to show my power supply. So to give the amp the benefit of the doubt, I've also have this massive charger, because I know the voltage is dipping. So at the moment it's running at about 13.6 volts. Okay, so this is a Kicker dual voice coil, and each coil is 2 ohms. So I've got my probes in there of my fluke meter, and my fluke is set on AC voltage. So now I'm going to crank up the volume. Let's see how many voltage I'm getting out of it. About maximum, about 29 volts. I didn't expect that. Let me do my calculations. Cheers. Okay, so let me explain, in my view, the good and the bad of this amplifier. Let me start with the bad stuff. Again, the speaker terminals. I understand you've got a very small amplifier. In fact, it measures at just under 11 centimeters in width. So having the typical connectors, it's very difficult because of the very small footprint of this amplifier. However, it still, to me, doesn't instill any confidence. I'm of the opinion somehow some plan needs to be made, because that harness with the small wires, it just doesn't look Iowa to me. That's the one bad thing. Another thing, it doesn't have remote sensing. I'm thinking this amp loses out on potential buyers in the marine and motorcycle industry. The footprint of this amp is very small. So imagine a boat also having Kicker, which is marine rated subwoofers and speakers, but you don't have an amplifier that is IP65, 66 or 67 rated. If this amp is rated on that, coupled with Bluetooth connectivity, you've got another audience to buy this amp. But then you'll need perhaps a digital sound processor, so maybe a built-in DSTP with some kind of application, Android or iOS, which interfaces with this amp to do the acoustics, to have the balances, the Q factor, the graphic equalizer, the time delay and whatnot. If you can have that with this amp and it is IP65 at least rated, you've got a marine application. This amp much smaller, maybe a 2-channel amp, also powerful, also with Bluetooth connectivity. Remember, with the motorbikes you don't really want a head unit because then it becomes too much. If you've got Bluetooth connectivity, you just connect with your Android or Apple device and you've got music. Also maybe with a DSTP, but maybe only for balance and a graphic equalizer, not Q factor and time delay and whatnot. So I think that is the bad. I think it needs a bit more modern features. If you've got a DSTP built inside, these knobs are totally unnecessary, these pots to tune the levels and the band passes and whatnot. If you can get rid of this, you've got this additional space allowing you to have proper speaker connections. Even if it is split between here and there, front and back, maybe you can have 4 channels here and a subwoofer here if the space is still a problem. But having a DSTP built inside with some kind of app to modify that and tune that, you get rid of that, you limited that area, and you've got proper speaker connections perhaps. Another negative I would say is the block looks generic, like a loaf of bread. It's just a square lump. There's nothing eye-catching on the body itself. Yes, it says reference acoustics there and it's got the voltage meter, which by the way is very accurate. It compares to my battery, it is perfect. But still it is square, it is not inspiring anything. So, but again, this is a budget amp. It is very cost effective. Now the good on this amp, it delivers. I'm of the opinion claiming 500 watts RMS on the 5th channel is realistic. I've measured in excess of 800 watts RMS. Theoretically, if the resistance on the 2 coils stays at 2 ohms each. Obviously it's not the case, however, I think this is real. This is the real McCoy. It is very small. It measures like 20 centimeters by 10 centimeters. Freaking small. Comparing this to what I've got, look at this. A freaking massive subwoofer amplifier and a Kenwood. I don't know. Yo. Now this amp is less than half the size of this amp and it delivers everything that I had and even more, and it's reliable so far. I've had it now for 3 weeks. It's a Yoba, eh? So that's a good one. And the price, obviously, I think I paid 2,700 bucks. That's a lot of amp and it sounds nice. It's not flat. You can hear the refresh rate or the sampling rate on the Class D is higher than I can hear, hence it is not a flat noise. I know the earliest Class D amplifiers sounded flat, so what they've done on the audio outputs for the full ranges you add a Class AB and on the subwoofer you add a Class D. I'm not an audiophile, however some people might hear it, but I'm telling you now, this to me is good enough for the average Joe. Maybe also for an audiophile, but I don't hear any flat pitches or whatnot. It is good. Eh? There's a remote bass tuner, so the knob itself I've noticed is just a potentiometer. So by default it is very high. So if you plug it in there with the remote wire with the knob, you tune it down to maybe 0 ohms and the bass increases. I haven't used it up until now because I've got a DSP inside. I've got no need for that, but it is there, you get it worth. Well done. And that's it. I think that concludes my video. Again, this is my first time of doing something like this. I'm Afrikaans bloke, so the grammatical pronunciations and whatnot is not perfect. I'm Afrikaans boertjie. But I hope this helps other people. Lekker!